So please state your name and organization affiliation.
My name is Julie Masura, and I work for the University of Washington, Tacoma, and I teach environmental science courses for IAS, their Interdisciplinary Arts and Science group.
What is environmental justice?
For me, environmental justice is recognizing the unequal treatment of underrepresented groups with respect to environmental issues, especially when we talk about urban development and city planning and businesses' use of like land, etc.
How does or doesn't environmental justice work in your community?
So I think that I actually don't live here in Tacoma. So from what I understand with respect to environmental justice in Tacoma, is that there still are areas in which there are underrepresented people that live in heavily industrialized areas that might not necessarily get the same treatment as groups that live in higher income areas in the city of Tacoma. I do know that there are groups within the city of Tacoma that do represent underrepresented groups and trying to recognize, that exists. I think the biggest issue with environmental justice is that people are unaware that there is an issue with respect to kind of ignoring the needs for all citizens in an area. And so with urban planning, I can talk about like the city of Tacoma. They went into an area called Shalishan, and they redeveloped Shalishan, recognizing it's a low-income area. They increased the needs of that area, understanding the needs for low-income folks, and really trying to clean up that area. And before, it was kind of a shambles. But I think, does it work? Is it effective? I think that the effectiveness is based on education and people understanding that it exists. And I think that it's pretty good here in our city.
And what do you think needs to change with environmental justice?
I think, one of the most exciting and thrilling things about my job is I get to teach a course called Pollution and Public Policy, where I get to talk to 40 students each quarter and basically explain to them what environmental justice is but it's only just a moment, so I only talk about it maybe for a couple of classes. But I think educating people and making them aware of issues with respect to environmental justice is a huge impact, and that needs to continue to happen. I think just educating yourself as a citizen and being able to make a change is the most important, and that's probably the biggest change is educating the community.
What parts of environmental justice are important to you?
Awareness. I think awareness and being thoughtful, especially if you work in a government group or even if you're in a private industry, is just being aware that we need to be thoughtful about all citizens and being thoughtful about how it impacts people where they live. So, if you are, if you are a private business, for instance, going into a low, if you're buying land that's really low, you have to be respectful for your neighbors too. And with respect to low, I mean low cost. Maybe it's land's maybe cheaper because it's just it doesn't have a lot of property value. But you have to be really aware of your neighbors and making sure that you're a good citizen and neighbor, and be thoughtful about. I don't know what to say. To be really thoughtful about, your industry and how you impact the environment.
Why or why not is it that important to you?
Oh, it's so important. It's just so important because, before I started teaching this course 8 years ago, I was really unaware of, people, I think aren't aware about environmental justice issues. And when you actually take out a map and you look at where you see Superfund sites, or you look at a place where you see, like high contamination, and you look at the incomes of people who live around there, I mean, it's very obvious that is where you see the highest amount of pollution, is where people basically are underrepresented people. And the thing is that I don't think that those people who live there are very aware that they do have rights, and they don't know that they have a voice, and that's for many different reasons. So I think it's really, really important to be aware and to be able to educate all people and know that people have rights to live in a clean community.
How does concern for the environment fit with other environmental justice concerns?
Well, I mean, it has everything to do with it. So, you have to manufacture. You have to basically have a slight impact on the environment. And I use this analogy a lot, and you've heard this before in my pollution and public policy class, is that, if you and I walk across a field of grass, that when we walk across a field of grass, we're going to bend the grass blades, and they're going to fall over. And if we walk across it once and we come back in the afternoon and we walk back across it, all those grass blades will eventually, they'll right themselves and everything will be fine. If we continue to follow that same path, then our impact in that area is going to kill off that grass and we'll actually make a mud trail. So we have to be very thoughtful about being environmental citizens and trying to find different paths. We're always going to have an impact on the environment, but I think we can lessen our impact and allow it to recover. And I think that kind of coins the term of sustainability, is just being able to allow the environment to actually recover from our use. So it all kind of fits together. Yeah.
So how does concern for health fit with other environmental justice concerns?
Oh, health is everything. I mean, we wouldn't have laws, we wouldn't have policies, we wouldn't even think about trying to regulate the environment if it doesn't really impact humans. Because I think being a human being, we're really most concerned with our needs and making sure that we're living healthfully and healthy. And so this whole environmental movement and environmental justice it didn't just come because we had ugly areas. It's because people were dying from air pollution and other forms of water pollution, and it still exists today, but it's a lot better. So the impact of humans is probably what initiated this whole environmental movement, and it's actually evolved to look at the whole the environment as a whole, not only humans. So it has everything to do with health. Yeah.
How does the concern for the idea of nature fit with other environmental justice concerns?
I think that when we talk about the environment, I think oftentimes people kind of lump the word environment to equaling nature. So when I use the term environment, I'm really talking about the humans and, the land and the animals and the fish and the water and the air. All that gets lumped in together, and that's environment to me. So nature is the environment. We all are natural. I think that oftentimes humans are thought of being unnatural, but we are natural. And so it has a huge role. It's quite related to nature, because we are nature. Yeah.
In your opinion, how is environmental justice useful to you in addressing the issues in your community?
I'm kind of lucky. I live in a nice neighborhood, and we have a homeowners association. So I have a voice, and I feel like in my immediate neighborhood, I'll tell you a funny story. It's just I like to tell stories, but in my neighborhood, I got an email from my homeowners association, and they were letting me know not to play in the park with my dogs and children because they were going to be putting chemicals on the lawn, on the landscaping, and that was going to be quite toxic. And so I couldn't help myself. I couldn't help myself. I just emailed back, really polite email. It said, I just want to let you guys know that we actually live on an area that could impact a wetland, which is right behind our property. And I think we need to be thoughtful about whether or not we want to be putting chemicals on our park landscaping. And I got a polite email back saying, oh, we didn't even think about that. And we'll see if we can find some other alternatives. And I thought, that was cool. I had a voice. And they didn't think I was a jerk. I was just trying to send a really nice, kind email just saying, hey, we just got to think about that. And no one thought about those fish that were living in our wetlands behind our community. And so I had a voice. That was kind of cool. So I'm kind of lucky in my area. So I don't feel like I have too much to worry about so far.
Really awesome. How might others be able to help?
I think just educating, and something that I talk about in my class again is that everybody has a voice, and that there are public meetings, and we do have an opportunity to speak, especially with respect to laws and policy and change in the environment. Anytime there's real estate that's going up or a land is being used, we always have a voice to actually go and talk at a public meeting. Now, we have to think about, though, we've got lives, right? We got to make dinner, we got to raise our children, we got to go to work. You guys have to do your homework, Maybe you don't have time to go to public meetings, but I think that we need to, be aware and find a listserv a newspaper that you guys read, or just read the environmental science listserv, and just start just going to those meetings, if you're passionate enough. And if you don't want to go yourself, find someone else that wants to go, because you guys really do have a voice as the citizens in Washington State, and actually the United States, in the world, actually. Yeah.
Is there anything else on this topic that you would like to say?
I think just awareness and making sure that everybody knows that they have an impact on the environment, and that they can, even if you're an underrepresented citizen, or if you're a well-represented citizen like myself, that we all do have voices, and that it is our responsibility to make sure that people are aware that they can make change. And it's even hardest probably for underrepresented people who aren't aware, maybe not as educated, don't have an opportunity to be aware, is just going out and just informing people, and just make public announcements, and just, maybe they won't listen to you, but someone will eventually, especially if it impacts their home and impacts the health of their family. So I think that's about it.